almost popped as it was going up through the gears. So it'll be interesting if they can get this thing fixed. But talking about a guy that's been perfect, Mike, this is perfection right now as far as our point leader, Kurt Busch.
The Sharpie Ford for Kurt Busch, our next qualifier. Average finish in the chase, 4.3. First, fifth, sixth, fourth, fifth. He's led every chase race, led the most laps at Loudon and at Martinsville. Only 2 DNFs this season.
See what he does on his first lap. Going to be 20th quickest. That's about where he practiced. Picked up about a 10th. And this team is always so strong at the end. If you go back 2 years ago in 2002, this team won 3 of the last races, including here at Atlanta.
And Larry, I had the privilege of coming here when his rookie year and testing with Kurt here, and he loves this racetrack. It's just his type of racetrack. He really understands how this racetrack needs to be laid out and how to attack the corners. He's very methodical. He slows down a little bit on his second lap, but I can promise you he and Jimmie Finnick will come up with a combination, will get that Sharpie Ford up toward the front come race day.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. that you see walking with a Budweiser uniform on, that's Martin Truex Jr., who will be driving the Budweiser car this weekend, be qualifying the car.
Boy, that looked good. I don't know what the chase says, but that sure looked good. It says it looked good.
It says it looks real good. Green, green, green for Jimmie Johnson.
By the way, that is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s uniform, but it's Martin Truex Jr. in it. Yeah.
Different body in it.
Go, man. First lap.
Look at here.
Jimmie Johnson, 4th fastest in practice.
On the pole now.
Trying to win 3 straight here at this New Hampshire International Speedway after sweeping the races here in 2003.
Quicker.
And, you know, this is based on his first lap, so it's a little bit quicker.
Yep.
Ooh, he's in that rev limiter.
That means he got off of turn 2 really well.
Johnson won the Bud Pole at the Lowe's Motor Speedway Charlotte back Memorial Weekend for the Coca-Cola 600s.
Flying.
Even this is, he's almost as fast as Ryan Newman was in practice.
28.85.
Wow. Good lap, Jimmie. Chad, way to go, guys. Great race car.
Jimmie Johnson started 6th and 8th in his 2 winning runs here a year ago, and he's on the pole right now after 20 of 45 drivers have made their Bud Pole qualifying run.
But Tony gets off to a good start at Daytona, finishing 2nd, unlike 2001 and 2002.
But even last year, in the first part of the year, he was running great. He had the car to beat a number of times, had a couple of engine failures and a couple of wrecks, and just had a lot of bad luck early on.
Jeff Gordon in the DuPont Chevy. 14 straight top 10 starts at this track, including 11 top 5s, 2 poles among them. That streak went from 95 to 01. And
the streak just went to the top.
He is on the pole right now to 23.72, and he feels like that's all I've got, boys, right there.
And coming out of 2, he left about a $1 bill's worth of thickness between his fender and the wall. He used all the racetrack.
Says he's going to beat you on this.
Yeah, I don't think so. Todd's got a long winter ahead of him, and if he's not going to shave until I let my hair grow. So we'll see what happens. I'm not cutting out anytime soon.
Very good, guys.
Okay. Mark Martin in the Roush Viagra Ford, 17 top 10 starts here. 13th at New Hampshire, 2nd at Dover. He's moved from 8th at the beginning of the chase to now 5th, 57 points out of 1st.
We have his crew chief, Pat Trice, and we're going to talk to Pat a little bit. Pat, I looked at the practice sheet. I almost had to flip it upside down to find you guys on the speed charts. Jeff Hammond was talking a while ago about teams holding just a little bit. That's something maybe you guys doing in practice?
I hope we were. We don't think we were. We were trying hard as we could, but you know how it goes. You got to try to get as much through as you can, and hopefully we got enough through that we can pick up a little bit. But if not, we'll race real good with this car. It's the car we run here in the spring, so we feel pretty good about it.
6th place finish in the spring after a 6th place start, so pretty good piece.
Pretty good piece, yeah, in the spring. But the one thing I'm noticing right now, Pat, watching your car going around the racetrack.
51.30.
51.30. He calls out to Mark from his first lap. And,
Pat, you got to be pretty happy with that lap there, because that's the first lap, and that's quicker than anything you ran in practice, knowing he's going to pick up 5, 6, 7 tenths on his second lap.
Yeah, I mean, we feel pretty good about that lap. Like I said, we changed a couple of things for qualifying. We thought maybe we had a little something wrong, but seems like it's picking up, so I feel pretty good about that lap right there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was up in the truck a little earlier with you guys and Jack, and they were talking about how you like to hold just a little bit and kind of like show it then. But like I say, late in practice, it looked like you'd held it maybe a little bit too long, but right now she's looking pretty good, Matt.
Man, looks like it's going to be in about the 50s. Looks like going to be a good lap for you. 50-63, third quickest, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Thank you for talking to us.
50-63 for Mark, 64 for Jeff Green, 67. That's hundredths of a second for Ricky Craven.
Wonder what hat he'll wear next week.
Let's see. Who do the Redskins play this week?
I don't know. Check that schedule, Thumper. Get online.
The Bears. Oh, excuse me. The Bears.
He has one man designated to go buy these hats every week, every Monday.
Dale Jr., second in points. Just 29 markers out of first to Kurt Busch. And I think you heard the interview. You'd have to say if there is one track they fear out of these 10, this is it.
You think so?
Sounded like.
I don't know.
And you think back that he has run well at tracks this year. You know, he won the Atlanta race back in the spring.
Yeah, I think right now, Mike, they didn't come here and test because I think they know that they can get the handle. I believe they feel like they can work through this, and I think their approach was just a little bit different. His first lap, he's 10th quickest.
He had a decent lap going right there, and he lost it all on exit of turn 4, had to get out of the throttle, and it just killed the straightaway speed on that second lap.
Tony Stewart in the Home Depot Chevy. This has been a good racetrack for the Gibbs cars. It's been 6 races here since Tony finished out of the top 10. In fact, he's got 4 straight top 5s, including that win in the fall of '02.
And started this season off probably as good as he has started any season, finishing second at Daytona. Bobbled a little bit at Rockingham, third last week, and he's sitting there second in the points right now, just behind leader Matt Kenseth.
In the last 4 races here, he's led, last 5 races, 310 laps.
Always been very dominant. He was 18th quickest in practice. This car has a new body on it, but the chassis pretty much spent most of the year last year riding around as a backup car for the 20 team in the front of the hauler.
29-17.
But a lot like his teammate, when they drop that green flag, I bet he won't be back there about 17th very long.
No, they got the magic on these tracks like this, Charlotte, some of these mile and a halves. I guarantee you they'll be up there leading the race.
And he'll be right around the bottom of the racetrack.
Left wheel below the white line.
Looks like he's going to about run what he did that first lap. Exactly what he ran.
To the 1,000th of a second, almost. Who was it that said, I drove it in till I saw Elvis, then lifted?
Here's a guy that'll do it.
Oh, light the fuse. Here comes the rocket. Looking for his 8th pole of 2004. Ryan Newman seeking his 3rd consecutive pole in the Alltel Mobil 1 Dodge.
You know, we call him the Rocket Man, but I was looking through a book that has just been recently published on Ryan Newman, and they used to call him Racing Ryan back when he was young. I mean, a lot younger than now, back when his midget days and little quarter midget stuff. It's really impressive to watch him, the way he's able to find speed. Right now, we're green lighted, guys, as he rolls off down there in turn 3 and 4. Let's see if he can get it back here to the start-finish line and back up that fast time this afternoon.
Where he's so strong is off the corner. That's where this clock continues to get faster there. This is going to be a pole run right here, I believe, boys. It is 28.95, just barely, but he did beat Joe Nemechek.
By 2/100ths of a second.
And he has 5 consecutive starts here of 6 or better, including the last 3 Bud Poles. No one has ever won 4 consecutive Bud Poles here at Atlanta.
The last time anyone won 4 consecutive poles at one racetrack was Mark Martin at Bristol, who won both poles in '95 and both poles in '96 as the second lap faster.
And he's quicker just by a little bit.
Yes, it is.
Be enough.
And guys, he got it right at the start-finish line, that light trip back green, so he picked up just a little bit off of turn 4.
Of course, he's going for 3 consecutive Bud poles in a row. New track records at Lowe's and Martinsville last week.
And if I read this right, he has won a pole once out of every 4 times he has been in a Cup race that has had time trials completed.
And that is the reason why we call him the Rocket Man.
Fastest lap, so they were committed kind of like to go on new tires, so a lot of indecision in the garage area.
Use the word borderline. The thing I keep watching in this qualifying chart right now with 10 cars to go, Jimmie Johnson, the hottest man on the circuit here these last 4 or 5 weeks, is sitting back there right now 29th. And when you look at his other 2 competitors, Jeff Gordon's 2nd, Mark Martin is 7th. So if qualifying ended now, Jimmie Johnson would have his work cut out for him on Sunday.
Believe it or not, Jimmie Johnson still has to run faster than 1 more car to make the show on time.
Yeah, and what happens all of a sudden, if you have to take a provisional in the last race of the season when you're running for the NEXTEL Cup Championship, that doesn't mentally help your effort very much.
Matt Kenseth is the defending Cup champion. He's in the chase for the championship, but with only 1 top 10 finish in those 9 races and 3 DNFs for the Dewalt Ford.
Yeah, I mean, he started this chase off at Loudon, I think, with a top 2 or 3 finish, but it has been downhill from there. And right now, Matt will be 32nd quickest. This place has not been good to Matt, either configuration.
No.
4 starts, he's finished 21st or worse in all 4, including 2 DNFs.
Let's give you the bump list. Jeffrey Bodine did not make a qualifying pass. He goes home along with Larry Foyt and J.J. Yaley. Also bumped from the top 38. Morgan Shepherd, Kurt Shelmerdine, Carl Long. Casey Mears crashed. Terry Labonte's been bumped. And so certainly Labonte and Mears will take 2 of the 5 provisionals. And a bit of smoke here.
Well, he picked up 2 tenths on that 2nd lap, and that picked him up about 7 or 8 positions. Now he'll be 22nd quickest, another car that has beat Jimmie Johnson.
You saw Boris Said, who despite trouble in the first part of his lap came back to finish 13th.
Yeah, they did. He made up a ton of time from turn 4 all the way back to the start line. He lost a lot of time going up top the hill, but he made it all up.
Yeah, the first part of that lap, if you're an aspiring road racer, that was all the things not to do.
Yep. Don't try this at home. Elliott Sadler is all up and down on the chart here. The M&M's Ford.
Had a little mishap in practice. He spun up there in the S's and got off in the dirt. Didn't hit anything. Looks like it's going to be a pretty solid run for Elliott. Brand new race car. They came out here and tested.
Well, he's got probably some difficult spots here to maneuver through yet. Getting down here around out of the S's and down into turn 10.
He's never started here in the top 20. See if he can change that.
Right here's where he had the problem in practice. Gets through there okay.
Wide right here, a little wide. Just had to really slow down right there. You sit on the tractor.
He had a real early apex, Darrell, there, and it hurt him at the exit.
Looks like if he can get off turn 11, though, this would be a good top 15 starting spot for him.
Now, he did get in the throttle nice and early there and was able to accelerate out of that corner well.
12th quickest.
That turned out to be a lot better than it all looked.
Yeah, really the only place I think he lost a lot of time was 10, and it looked like I think he thought he was going to go off there. He really had to get hard on the brakes, stay on the racetrack.
Speaking of dodging things, here's the Ray Evernham Dodge Dealers Dodge for Jeremy Mayfield.
This is definitely one of the bullets that Ryan Newman should be watching because he was 4th quickest in practice.
And now the entire track is in shade and the lights begin to come on.
I don't know, Larry. I mean, he's 35 years old.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Wish I was.
And look how it's already getting late.
Well, let's see if we're keeping him up. 16th, 29-28 for Mayfield.
They're going to grease up the old Walker when he gets out of the car.
Adjust the mirrors on it.
That's right. His GPS isn't working either.
I don't know if they didn't try to sell Dick that Walker. Good thing.
Dick's already got one.
Dick had put a wing on it.
So Jeremy made his very first career start here in October of 1993 at Lowe's Motor Speedway. See if he picks it up on his 2nd lap. Picks it up a little bit, moves up to 13th quickest at a 29.22.
Of course, he was only 24 then.
Yeah. That's 38 cars that have been under the qualifying clock, so we'll now begin the bumping process.
Jamie McMurray, this will be his 4th race at Atlanta. Best start of 4th, best finish of 7th. That was in the number 40 in relief that season of Sterling Marlin at the tail end of 2002.
He just keeps getting better, Larry. That whole team does, him and Donnie Wingo. And I think since they put the star back on the hood, they're trying to live up to that reputation.
They are definitely do that. I mean, their qualifying has been on the money. They're one of only 2 drivers to have 3 top 10 starts in 2004. The other one's Greg Biffle. Won a Busch race here in 2002 when he was on that tear of winning Busch races. And this is actually the same car that they ran at Rockingham in Las Vegas. They've got the theory, you got a good horse, keep riding it.
I like it.
Now, I'm looking at the grill of that car as McMurray finishes up his run in 5th. We'll talk after we hear from Matt about something Ray Evernham did last week in qualifying with tape on the grill that was different. First, here's Matt.
It's won a few times for us this year already, and hopefully we can get back on top and get the momentum going the right way this weekend and starting here in qualifying today.
You ready to get the Kansas trophy back in the Hendrick shops as well?
Yeah, Jeff has had a stranglehold on that trophy for a while, and we have some spot over on the 48 side, in our trophy case for a Kansas trophy, so we'd like to have one.
Ryan stole it last year, so.
Yeah, everybody wants it. That's the good thing about our sport. And the way everybody's competing right now for this championship, you've got 10, 12 guys that can win it. So, my hat's off to NASCAR. For the big picture, I think they've done a great job with this point system. I was the slowest to conform and had a hard time with it at first, but for the overall good of our sport, there's a lot of great things coming from it, and I think our competition is the start of it.
Thanks, Jimmy. Mike?
Jimmie's 9th in points. Got to dig himself out of a hole to get back into the chase. Bobby Labonte turned the wick up, 30.18 for the Interstate Battery Chevy. He is 3rd, and he's one and done.
And I think one of the keys to his run was I saw 197 miles per hour into turn 1, and the car stuck. You would think that fast in the corner that he would pay the price on the exit, but he really did. And that's a great qualifying run for Bobby and this 18 group. They're trying to stop their bleeding. In the last 12 races, no top 10 finishes.
Back at Dover, we'll see what Casey Kane has for Jeremy Mayfield.
Boy, I thought last week, there at the latter stages of the race, he was closing on Jimmie Johnson. Only car that did that all night long. Had those cautions there at the end. The car didn't look nearly as good the last few laps of the race. Matter of fact, he got into Bobby Labonte. I know he and Bobby had a few words after the race, as a matter of fact.
Casey was 6th quickest in practice.
I think Bobby was explaining a few things to him.
Car looks awfully good, DW.
She's up off the bottom, Larry.
Yeah, it's not great right there.
Slid up there a little bit in the center of the turn.
11th quickest on his first lap.
See how he goes up the hill right there, kind of diming the corner off? It's costing you time.
A little bit loose late exit there for the straightaway.
She don't have the Jeremy look, I can tell you that.
I believe this lap may be a little better than that first lap if he can get off turn 4, but it's not going to be pole material. Picks up just a little bit, picks it up 1 position by doing it.
Ward Burton has also made his qualifying run. He's 22nd.
For a little discussion, and they put both these cars at the end of the cars on the lead lap.
Spent some points, didn't they?
Yeah, 20, what did you say, 21 points or
31, yeah.
31 points.
And I'll let you know a little secret. We spent some time with Kevin Harvick and Richard Childress up at the river.
The Yadkin River?
Yeah. This past week, and they are in the pre-race show for the Brickyard a week from Sunday.
Oh.
And it's very interesting to hear how Kevin has matured from his intense youth as a NEXTEL Cup Series driver, but still shows flashes of that aggressive behavior.
And this qualifying run so far, not up to their standards, obviously where they want to be. So far, it's 17th best out of the 37 cars. Well, that's a little bit better. 15th.
Harvick, of course, the defending champion at Indianapolis. And 14th after his first lap here in Pocono.
All right, let's check it out. Down in turn 1. TNT Pace just says going in the corner. He was 2nd best so far, 3rd, 4th. But see how he hits those bumps and the car moves up the racetrack. And look how the speed just starts slowing down. And you're not able to get off that corner under throttle. And that's why those numbers just keep going up as far as position is concerned.
And then what do you do?
Park.
Give it up.
Yeah, give it up.
Kevin Harvick lands in 14th. 37 cars have completed their qualifying runs here at Pocono. Robbie Gordon yet to go.
Trick or treat. Dale Jarrett in the UPS Ford. Had 8 straight races here, starting in the top 10 on the new configuration. Started 6th here in the spring.
It'd be interesting to see. We've seen his teammate qualified 3rd so far. If they shared some notes after that practice session and kind of picked this 88 car up to be more like the 38.
Since they reconfigured this racetrack, flipped it around and made it a quad oval, only one driver has scored more points here than Dale Jarrett. That's Jeff Gordon.
I believe this lap is going to be quite a bit better than what he practiced. Looks a lot better. 12th quickest for DJ. 29.45.
Half a
he
second
picked up
better.
a half a second.
Good pickup.
And the thing I heard him say earlier in the day, this is the same car he ran at Lowe's. Qualified terrible. In fact, they used a provisional, but it was so good in the race, he finished 6th.
And as Rusty Wallace comes on track in the Miller Lite puddle of mud, 2 Ds, Dodge. And we mentioned Darrell Waltrip winning 4 poles in a row in 1981. Bill Elliott did it in 1985. Won 4 poles in a row. So Bill Elliott is the most recent to win 4 poles in a row.
I don't think Rusty's going to be very happy in this 2 car with this qualifying run. He was 10th quickest earlier. You see right here, right about 20th quickest on this first lap.
19th, 29.30. That will bump Michael Waltrip to provisional land. And the going home situation is kind of interesting. We know that Greg Sachs and Kirk Shelmerdine will not qualify for the Tropicana 400. If Todd Bodine, who is now 37th, gets bumped, he goes home. But if Chad Blunt, who is 35th, also gets bumped, Bodine is back in because his car owner has more owner points than does Chad Blunt's car owner.
And of the cars that's left, we have about 5 cars left. We pretty much know Joe Nemechek in the 01 car was pretty quick in practice.
Greg Biffle.
How's old Biff looking here?
National Guard Ford. Now here's a fellow. Where was it just a couple of races ago that he wrecked a car, and the first time he hopped in it in Cup was in qualifying, and he went out and ran a great lap, having never sat in that car.
I think it was at Dover a couple of weeks ago.
You're right.
He was 15th quickest in practice at a 38.05. There you see the teammates chatting right there about right now their tentative front row start.
Biffle's 7.
Biffle's got trouble. No, he just ran the 1 lap. Okay, yeah, he good. 7th quickest on the first lap.
For qualifying and this one here, so it was definitely a good run for us, and we picked up a little bit from practice, so it was a good day for us.
Good job. Thanks, Bobby.
But Darrell, you had 5 wins here, and I know you won 80-something races, and of course you won the Daytona 500, but there has to be something just extra special about winning at this place because it's so much a driver's racetrack.
And that's the whole thing, Larry. I mean, there are tracks where you go that the driver can make all the difference in the world, and sometimes you're just as good as your equipment is, but here, being smart, being smooth, and the one word that I learned when I started coming here and started doing well was anticipation. You have to anticipate everything that happens ahead of you here, or you'll end up in a lot of trouble. And it was a good racetrack for me.
Now, DW, I understand that a win here can seem like it's worth $1 million sometimes.
Why do you say that, Matt?
I don't know.
Is there a story, DW?
Dang, that's been 14 years ago. We'll exactly explain that a little bit later.
Place.
Michael Waltrip in the Napa Chevrolet. In the news this week, the news came out of DEI that Michael's going to have to be in the top 10 next year to be able to extend his deal with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated.
You were talking about pressure, guys. I mean, there's some pressure for you to know that you got to be looking at 2005 season having to finish in the top 10 to be able to retain your ride. I mean, that's really basically building a fire under the driver.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the past champions that did not make the top 10. Dale Jarrett
Bobby Labonte. But a different kind of pressure as you see that right front smoking, which means it looks like possibly this car's traveling more qualifying and the tires are bottoming out. Michael Waltrip, like a lot of drivers that won in 2003, trying to get the victory lane here with one more shot on Sunday.
Well, initially, when the chase for the NEXTEL Cup format was announced, as Michael is fourth fastest on his first lap, good lap, 30.59, there was a fear, a lot of smoke from the right side there as he goes in the corner. There was a fear that sponsors might renegotiate and say, well, if you make the top 10, we'll pay you this, but if you don't make it, we'll pay you that. So some of that was anticipated. We've not heard any news of that yet happening. But this is kind of new to tell a driver, here is the new benchmark. You make it or you pack.
That's a tough order to follow right there. That'll be a good qualifying run for Michael. And I think when all's said and done, Mike, Jeff, I don't think Mark Martin is going to be that disappointed with his qualifying run because the racetrack seems like it's slowing down.
So Sterling Marlin, who finished second here in 2000, his best road course finish in 37 starts. On track in the Coors Light Dodge. Dodge's first NASCAR road course win. 1966, David Pearson for Cotton Owens, driving a Dodge Coronet at Bridgehampton, Long Island.
Coming up that hill to the second turn there is fun. It's really fun. You come by the start-finish line in high gear, third, second, then you're up around the top of that hill. It's really cool. That's a tough spot right here, just getting around turn 4.
Sterling's using a lot of curbing on the inside of these corners.
All the
He's not looking like Nigel today, is he? No.
He was 18th quickest in practice.
Got that baby reared up in the front end, I know that.
Really using the curb feelers, Darrell.
He's just trying to use them to turn the car. The car looks really tight.
You can hear the wheels squealing.
And when you get a car that high up in the front end, there's no way it can drive right. That thing just looks like it's trying to pick the front wheels up.
I think right here is where it goes down so far under heavy braking getting in the corner. Didn't go down as far as I thought it was.
Doesn't stay down there long enough. He needs him a pair of 48160s on the front.
Sure, big shots.
Right, DW.
Them guys in the garage area down there now are shaking their head. What's he talking? That's old school.
And they're going in the morning. They're going to be telling me, "Will you please tell DW?"
Sterling is second to Terry Labonte.
I don't tell DW nothing.
Here's Jeff Burton, green flag. A 4-time New Hampshire International Speedway winner.
And he runs so good at this racetrack. He was just 25th best in practice, and that's about where he is currently. But over the years, this 99 car has been very, very good.
Jeff, he started in front and won. He started second and won 1 year. He also started way back in the back of the pack and won 1 year. Started on a provisional and took the checkered flag.
All right, so far he's 21st. 36 cars have attempted qualifying, and Burton is 21st with another lap to go.
He lost a lot of time right before the center there.
Chase right now puts him about 17th, 18th. Well, it's taking a drop now. A little trouble getting through the center of 3 and 4. Of course, as fast as that thing spins, that tells you just how close these times are together. Talking hundreds and thousands of a second can swing you 4 and 5 positions. And Jeff ends up 20th out of 36, and we have 9 cars to go. David?
$25,000 and took 25 points away from him as well, driver and owner. So a lot of penalties and fines last week.
Well, that was pretty serious, Larry, because it was judged deliberate, as we watched Carl Edwards make his run, that after the car had passed inspection, a crew member was found pushing down on the back spoiler as the car went from inspection out to the start line.
And what that affects, guys, is kind of like what Junior's talking about. That was trying to take advantage of your competition in a situation like that. And I think that right there, those type of fines and those type of penalties are well served.
And that crew member was suspended for 2 weeks and on probation on December 31st. But on a good note, I think Dave Burns is with our tentative pole sitter.
Well, we'll step in with Joe Nemechek here. Joe he ran over to sign autographs and he wanted to talk to his crew. Last thing he wanted to do to talk to us, but you're on the pole, sir, right now.
Yeah, right now I think Jeremy's probably the only guy that has a big shot there. But what can I say about this whole Army team? U.S. Army, USG Sheetrock, Ryan Pemberton, Jay Fry, all these guys here, they've been working their tails off. Big Mike, everybody back at the shop. Just incredible. I mean, it's a car. I think we had this car at Loudon. We ran really good. It's incredible. I told the guys that's as close to out of control and still being in control as you can be. Wasn't out of the gas very much, and it showed up in my lap.
It feels a little cooler. Is the track coming back too, do you think, a little bit?
Yeah, the track temperature cooled down a little bit. I struggled a little bit with my Busch car qualifying, but track temp was way up, and it's starting to come back just a little bit. So, hey, you take them any way you can get them.
Joe waits now to see if it stays there, guys.
Dave Blaney, Carl Edwards qualified that car for Roush Racing, ran the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Race in Fort Worth, Texas this afternoon. Hasn't made it here yet. Blaney's the relief driver. He'll go to the back of the pack. Edwards will take over sometime tonight when he gets here.
Welcome back to Atlanta. Johnny Sauter in the AOL Chevy for Richard Childress.
Got himself in a heap of trouble last week in the Busch race.
Yeah, made some post-race comments that have been a topic, front page news in Washington. Not his comments particularly, but those type of comments. And his wallet's, what, $10,000 lighter as a result.
10 grand. The biggest thing is, I think, aside from the 10 grand, especially with him running the entire Busch series, they took 25 driver points away from him as well.
Dave Blaney, the AOL broadband. Number 30 of Richard Childress.
Man, a lot of different paint jobs this weekend. Every one of these race cars painted up a little bit differently than what we've seen them all year.
Well, primetime show on Fox.
I'm liking it, though. I mean, once kind of figure out who they are, very distinctive. Looks like the old Pennzoil car right there.
Dave's first lap was 48.86. He was 30th quickest in practice. Picks it up to 48.26, and he's a couple of tenths quicker than he was in practice earlier today.
Jim Englebright behind the wheel of the AOL Chevy for Richard Childress, three-time Southwest Tour winner here. And he responds with a 25th place qualifying effort. Dave Blaney will be back in the car next week, but Englebright gets a good ride.
Yeah, Blaney did a good job at Michigan. The car finished 15th. Got a good run for Englebright. I mean, he was smooth all the way around the racetrack, no problem.
Are you trying to say he's going to try to take money out of his partner's or teammates' pocket?
I'd say that would be the goal.
Or whoever is in front of him.
Now, guys, y'all wouldn't do that to me, and I know I wouldn't do that to you.
Yes, we would, too.
Good thing DW isn't here. Jeff Burton, the AOL Chevrolet. Since joining that team, he has the best start of 5th. And that came at Richmond. And this, I think this will be the last time we see Jeff with these colors. He's going to stay with Richard Childress Racing next year, but the number, the color, the sponsor,
the whole team,
and all the crew, everything will change.
Move over to the 31 singular car. But boy, you talked about his start since going to Richard Childress Racing. In the last 7 races, he has had 7 top 15 finishes, and always runs well here. 3 top 5 finishes here.
5th on his first lap, 30.86. Many of you wondering about, as he got a handful there, wondering about his older brother Ward, who was released by the Net Zero team just 2 weeks ago, and Ward did not go to Darlington. Spent the week back home, South Boston, Virginia, to gather things together and try to make plans for next year. No announcement yet, but there's a lot of talent sitting home in South Boston, and Ward should have a good ride when everything shakes out. We hope so.
Absolutely. But Brother Jeff actually slows down on that second lap, so right now he will be 5th quickest, and we'll try to monitor this track temperature because I think it's just going to continue to go up.
30.47, though, is not going to get Kirk in this field. He does pick up a provisional this week because of the attempts that he has made, but don't know if he'll get a chance to use it. Mears.
We're in sync.
That's a good thing. All right, in the target Dodge. Your turn.
Yeah, he qualified, of course, on the outside pole in the NEXTEL Open on Saturday night. And at the start of the race, had the transmission tear up. And, of course, About a third of the field was involved in that wreck, and ironically, 1 year ago in the Coca-Cola 600, he had transmission problems in the race. Ended up finishing 35th.
He's used to driving those Indy cars with a sequential shifter, maybe. He's having trouble with that.
Pretty good qualifying run, though. 13th quickest, 29.21. Sequential?
Sequential, yeah. It's an Indy car thing I picked up the other day watching TV.
Or a motorcycle thing.
Oh, yeah, you do it on a motorcycle, too. I just thought that was on a motorcycle because the thing just went, oh, golly, he's loose. Sorry about that.
My motorcycle never did that. Casey Mears is 13th with a 29.21. Second lap mirrors the first.
A boogity brownie contest.
Oh yeah. Actually, it's boogity brownie.
Came here a few weeks ago, tested really good in race runs, just hadn't found the handle for qualifying yet, but the guys been working their butts off. We just hadn't hit the package yet, and just a little bit too tight. Just couldn't get it freed up good where I could stay on the gas and run the line I needed to run, but might have to dig ourselves out of a hole come Sunday, but I got the best pit crew in the business, and they'll be able to make up some positions for me and hopefully have a good car, work our way to the front.
All right, we'll watch for that. Thanks, Elliott.
Robbie Gordon, this will be Robbie's 4th start here in Texas. He ran here for Felix Sabates in 1997. And, of course, the last 2 years for Richard Childress. Still looking for his first top 20 start here.
Yeah, he actually missed the show here in 2000. Did not qualify. You heard Robbie in his interview with Jeannie a while ago say they worked most of the practice session on race setup. He was sitting back there 38th quickest in practice. His first lap, though, pretty decent lap, 28.22, 5th quick.
Ricky Rudd on the track, the 21 car.
Well, let me see. Ricky Rudd was 23rd fastest in the practice session.
This will
53.62. Let's see if we can duplicate that.
This will be his 51st race at Pocono. Let's take a look at the pit command while he's on the track. See, if you can't watch a TV, you're trying to, sneak it in at work. You can see how he's doing.
I mean, this is comparing he to Vickers.
Right.
I mean, that is really neat, isn't it?
Orange. That's his first lap, and you can see.
Yeah. That's kind of like our TNT pace chase. It's down below the blue line.
Right.
There's the blue line. There's the red is bad every place.
Yep, certainly is.
Stop signs. Red means you got to stop.
Especially at the end of the month.
Yeah. You're used to that too.
Oh boy. Ricky Rudd, 10th. Got that good-looking throwback paint scheme going for him again this week, doesn't it?
That is a beautiful car.
They have had a disappointing season and really struggled with their chassis. Ricky hanging tough.
Brutally disappointed, I think.
Oh.
Terrible.
Still looking for his first top 10 of the year.
And as he said in our interview last week at Loudon, he finally gets a car where it's pretty decent, and a couple of slow cars get his way. He backs off to let those guys get organized, and Mark doesn't know that he's backed off and runs in the back out and crashes the car.
Kind of get the feeling he didn't want to say much about that.
No,
we asked him about it.
Kind of the impression I got. It says 9th. Can he stay there? Did he beat Jeff Green? Did he?
10th.
Oh, still 10th.
Yeah.
Sweating. Hot. Hey, it's hot out here.
Okay, Brian Vickers on the track, and green.
Green is right.
He's on his first lap.
Way on the green side.
9 top 10 starts in 2004. 8 of those in the top 5.
He got loose.
Sure did, didn't he?
I don't know if it's going to
come. Still green.
Still green.
This is going to be something here.
Wow. Did he do it?
Yep, right to the top.
Wow.
171.008 miles per hour.
52.62. Wow. I didn't know Brian could hold his breath that long.
That's 0.3 of a second faster than Labonte.
I know it. That's about the same speed Joe Nemechek ran in his practice run in the practice held, the hour practice held here today.
Is he still staying in it?
He is playing.
He is?
No, I mean, you're right. He is in it. And he's trying to run a better lap. Be careful.
Trying to widen the track, I think, is what he's trying to do.
I think that he feels like that he lost something up in that flat corner turn 3 when he got a little bit sideways, but he didn't lose much. His speed is probably fast enough to beat Bobby Labonte. off there at the start-finish line?
Yep, you were right. He did beat Bobby.
On the second lap.
On the second lap. But the first lap is the lap of record. 52.
Your second lap was the 75. Which temps?
I thought we'd run better than that, but I don't know. Seems like qualifying just isn't our thing, you know. I don't know. Guys always give me a great race car to race with, but I thought we were going to do better than that. We ran a flat in practice. I thought we'd beat that today, but I don't know. The car just it felt okay, just didn't seem to go.
All right, maybe like last week, the race will be the thing for Mark.
Terry Labonte, the two-time Cup champ, with Pixar's new movie, The Incredibles, on the hood of his Kellogg's Chevrolet. The reviews are good. It's supposed to be a very, very enjoyable movie.
But, you know, I've got friends and obviously teammates that have been on the pole before, and we're gonna cross our fingers and hope that we can get it done with this orange car.
Good luck, Robbie.
Thanks.
Robbie's just a couple cars away.
Second.
Yeah.
He was looking at Johnny's.
Second lap.
Which
Yeah.
would have been a very impressive first lap.
That would have been probably the fastest lap of the day.
Yes.
Well, no, I think Elliott Sadler ran a 13 on his first lap. Yeah.
Here's Scott Wimmer out on track. Bill Davis Racing's Caterpillar Dodge. Looking to get into the Daytona 500 for the first time, starting his rookie season after spending a couple of years in the NASCAR Busch Series for Bill Davis. Wimmer has been in the headlines over the last couple of weeks after he has been charged with driving under the influence. He was very stand-up with the media during NASCAR Media Day here on Thursday, faced all the reporters, answered all their questions, said I made a mistake. I will answer for that mistake. It's the first mistake I've made. I don't get in trouble. And I think he's got a lot of support in the garage area that he's learned a lot from it, and it won't happen again.
I mean, what little I know Scott Wimmer, I just know him around the racetrack. I don't know him socially out away from the racetrack, but just hard to imagine him doing something like this. So, yeah, I think that most people would support the young man.
Scott in practice was 32nd fastest. And right now,
that's about where he's going to be when this is over.
Up, yeah. 33rd on his first lap and looking at 27th here according to Pace Chase. And so it is. 185.5 miles an hour for the Wausau, Wisconsin driver. Scott Wimmer made his time trial run here at Daytona today. 9 cars to go.
In the top 10 in practice.
And he loves this race.
Yes.
How many truck races in a row did he win?
4 consecutive NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series wins here.
Brendan Gaughan from Las Vegas. Right now, 5th in the rookie chase. But it's a long season.
And he was 9th quickest in practice. Felt so bad for him last week at Bristol. Had a great car. His pit crew was on the mark every time he came to pit road, and got a little skirmish on the front stretch late in the race. And I think he ended up barely finishing in the top 20, but a great run. I think that gave him and that race team good confidence that they can do it.
Yeah, we heard a lot of the audio from him, and they were really having a big time, man. They were, oh man, get down, get down.
That was almost a big time.
That's going to really, I mean, I think he probably had to get way up out of the throttle.
And that will hurt his speed for both laps.
Yeah.
14th quickest, 28.14.
I believe he was on a tear right there, but he can't keep the car down getting off the corner.
That will bump Ricky Craven into provisional land. I believe this lap's going to be worse.
Yeah, it looks like the car is just a little tight on exit, and he can't get up off the corner.
And you know, Darrell, running this fast here, if the car ever pushes just a little bit and builds that right front air pressure up, you know, it just makes the car push worse as you go.
You're fighting 2 battles here. One is you want to try to run it wide open if you could. The other is you got to make it turn to do that. And that's the 2 battles you fight.
The law of physics takes over.
Somewhere along the way.
Brendan Gaughan is 14th. Genie is with his teammate. First car on track, Scott Riggs in the Valvoline Chevrolet. 7 top 10 starts this season. 4 has been his big number. He's started outside second row 3 times.
Mike, he was fairly quick in practice, 16th quickest. He ran a 30.36, 177 plus miles per hour, and this is only a 1.5-mile racetrack.
Larry, what I like about this racetrack right now, since they reconfigured it a year ago, it really allows these guys to take full advantage of the massive racetrack we got here in front. Mile-and-a-half racetrack doesn't need to be flat like it was before. This banking is really allowing these guys to kind of get after it. I don't think Scott's going to be real happy with his first lap, but as we saw earlier today, it seemed like the tires need to get a little bit of heat in them to really get their maximum grip and maximum speed. So for that reason, a lot of teams chose to scuff these tires.
Scott had a little wiggle there right in the middle of turn 2, though, Larry.
He definitely has his hands full. The race car, you see, can way up the racetrack off turn 4. This racetrack is at peak as far as track temperature right now. Not a lot of grip in this racetrack, and he actually slows down on his second lap. So overall, he has slowed down about 2.5 tenths from practice.
I hope he's smart enough to not let Hammond touch that car while he's up there.
Ward Burton in the Net Zero Chevrolet. Ward was the pole sitter here for Bill Davis in the fall of 2002.
And he set the track record. He was the track record holder until these last few cars started in the qualifying session. Ward was 37th quickest in practice, not very good. Pretty good here, though.
Yep.
10th quickest on that first lap, 21:04.
Stepped it up a little bit. It's pretty good. It might be a tick quicker.
Might pick up a spot right here.
Yeah,
picks up 2, up to 8th at a 21 flat.
But Mike, you mentioned it a while ago, and we were talking to Darrell. I just believe the racetrack is starting to get a little bit better.
Rusty right now is 4th. Mike Bliss coming off the Southern 500 with a top 10 finish. He has a 7th place start up at Chicago. 2002 Craftsman Truck Series champ, former USAC star, had a big run at Richmond, a 4th place finish there, which got the attention of the Net Zero team when they decided to make a change and unceremoniously released Ward Burton with 2 races to go. They turned to Mike Bliss.
He was 20th quickest in practice. He has definitely brought a little bit of life to this race team. I know they were pretty excited this morning, especially after that 10th place finish last week. Wow, 9th quickest for Mike Bliss.
Get you some of that,
30-50. Good run.
And realizing he's still kind of auditioning, trying to find him something to do next year.
Well, he's pegging the meter, isn't he?
He's making a statement, boys. He's making a statement. Doesn't matter whether you take me to Richmond or you take me to Darlington. Oh, by the way, just take me on down to Homestead, Miami, and see what you think about me down here. He's doing a great job.
Car just looks good. You know, I think the other thing we need to talk about is Booty Barker is now working on this race car, and I think he brought some life to this race team as well.
6th fastest. Mike Bliss picks up 8 100ths on lap 2. You're not supposed to be able to do that, but he is now 6th fastest.
By the way, we're talking about people with no experience. This guy's run all the races here at Infineon. Mike?
Sure has.
Yeah, he picked up a 1.5 seconds from what he practiced, unlike what we've seen a lot of cars.
Jeff Green, spoonfuls of stories, Cheerios. And there on his steering wheel is the track map. And the team added this. That is a compass.
Yeah, about all those maps and stuff are good for us to tell you the team where you are after you go off.
Right.
Because you ain't got time to be looking at them, I can tell you that.
But I tell you what, Jeff Green only has 1 start here, but it was a top 5 finish 2 years ago. Finished 5th. Had a good run that day.
That Spoonfuls of Stories program will donate 4,700 books to area children who need them if Jeff completes all the laps here on Sunday.
Flirting with disaster right there. You know, Larry, one of the things I used to find that worked pretty well, Wool got way out wide there. It cost him a lot of time. I didn't shift gears coming around turn 10 there. I would just come down the hill in high gear and power myself through there. So I had both hands on the wheel and didn't have to use quite as much brake.
Getting pretty busy right there. Yeah, Jeff Green along with Kyle Petty and Jim Engelbright and P.J. Jones, they're going to be on our trackside show later on tonight.
Great. I like that strategy, Darrell, because then you're not upsetting the car with being on throttle, off throttle in the middle of that shift, and it's a lot to do there.
Bill Cooper, who drove for Bob Bondurant out here in the school and drove the Corvettes at one time, he told me that. He said, when you think if you don't have to shift, don't shift.
You know, I know he wouldn't have to hunt long and hard to find anyone to drive that school bus. You know, Hammond would do it.
Yeah, he'd volunteer for it. Well, at least he'd ride in it.
Up on the hood.
No. The truants always sit in the far back seat. Here's the Swan, Kenny Schrader. after the short track fans of America voted him into the Nextel All-Star Challenge last Saturday night.
Struggled in practice. They were 43rd quickest. Speaking of birthdays, Kenny will be celebrating his 49th birthday this weekend.
Asked him how he felt about being the elder statesman of the Cup drivers, and first he said not too good, but then he said, but I guess I'm still doing it, so that's pretty good, isn't it? Yes, it is. He had a run here of 12 straight races starting in the top 10 that included 2 poles and 2 outside poles when he drove for Rick Hendrick.
Yeah, they were pretty tough here in late 80s, early 90s. Got a win here and always finished up in the top 5.
Yeah, the Hendrick cars have just been great here ever since they started. Rick put so much effort into this race. It's almost his Daytona 500.
Kenny Schrader is 18th with a 29.55.
Less than 800 of them came home alive.
It just was a huge deal. It was hard to believe. 60 years ago, which was a couple of 3-4 years before NASCAR was even formed.
But you know, nobody likes a war and nobody wants to have conflict. But those people are why we have the freedoms we have today. Because if it hadn't been for that, no telling what would be going on in our country today. And we have to always remember that. And Ricky Craven just got him a piece of the wall off the 2 over there.
First lap puts him 11th quickest, and you know, I know this qualifying run don't look like it's going to be this good, but Ricky has been so solid here. His last 6 starts here, 4 top 10 finishes. Our first race here back in 2001 looked like he was destined to win that race at a green flag pit stop. Bit him late in the race.
Yeah, he was on a roll there a couple of years ago. To Rockingham, he had a great car, almost won. Came here, great car, almost won. Run the high line, get up off the bottom, get up in the middle of the high part of the racetrack. Really looked good.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the Tide Chevrolet. And there you see where he started in his only Talladega Cup appearance. He also started 28th this July at Daytona in the 09 that's driven today by Mike Wallace. Now in 6 Busch Series races here. He has a best start of 9th and a best finish of 4th.
And they really struggled in practice earlier, Mike. They were only 42nd quickest, of course, at the restrictor plate racetrack. They come here with engines leased from Richard Childress Racing. They just never got this car up to speed. Harold Hawley is here working with the team this week because the Busch Series is idle this weekend. In fact, this is Harold's hometown at Pell City, Alabama, just a few miles down the road.
He shares that hometown with another famous figure in the world of sport, I think. No, Charles Barkley's from Leeds, which is just next door to Pell City on the way to Birmingham.
That's it.
Yeah.
This is a car that actually looked like it was going to have a pretty good run here in the Talladega race in the spring. They lost an engine very early in the race with Ricky Craven driving the car. Do need to mention that right now Kenny Wallace is in the bubble spot at 38th quickest. See what Bobby Hamilton Jr. can get out of this first lap. Don't look like it's going to be real fast. 52.36. So he would have to pick up well over a second just to make it into the top 38, but he certainly would be a team that would be eligible for a provisional start.
Right, and Kenny Wallace, even if he's bumped, would get, according to my sheet, the last provisional spot, even if he's bumped by one of these final 2 cars. If you're coming to Talladega for the weekend, tomorrow night, the big ceremony at the Talladega, the Texaco Haviland Walk of Fame in downtown Talladega. It's not an oxymoron. A nice little city square there, and the Walk of Fame is a great thing. Kyle Petty will be one of the drivers honored, and Richard Petty and Benny Parsons will do the induction, and everybody's welcome.
It's a big event they have over there. A really neat place to visit.
Bobby Jr. 51.64. That is not fast enough to make the top 38.
And Ray announced this past week that he now has sponsorship for Bill Elliott in 2005 for about 3 to 6 races, looking for sponsorship for about 10 to 12, and definitely probably will be a full-time 3-car operation in 2006.
Right, he has Stanley Tools has come on board to sponsor Elliott next season in Nextel Cup.
I was up by their shop up near the Statesville Airport the other day and noticed that they're building a new building. I want to go back to Jeff Gordon. He qualified, ninth so far to 1979. But think about it like this, guys. Last year he set on the pole at a 2022. When you pick up that much speed and you're still ninth. So, I mean, a lot of people right now have done their homework and they realize right now if you want to beat Jeff Gordon as far as the victories here, you got to get in front of him at least when it comes time for qualifying.
You heard him say it was another one of the teams that came up here and tested.
See what Kyle Petty can do with the brawny Dodge. 19th on his first lap with a 2018. He's going to pick it up here on lap 2 and move to 15th with a 1998.